Stitch Roadies. Welcome. Thank you for stopping by. And if you are new to this channel about cross stitch, please, if you decide to stay, take a moment to subscribe and hit that little bell that's next to the subscribe button, because unlike some channels out on the internet, I don't have a set schedule. It's kind of like when I have think I have something to say or show, then I'll do a video, and there is no concrete. I'm not showing up on the same day every week. So the bell allows you to know when I've uploaded a video, and I appreciate you stopping by. It has been a whirlwind couple of weeks. I went down to Los Angeles. I flew down to Los Angeles for a visit to my family down there, and I had not been down to the LA basin for several years, and so my sister flew from where she lives, and we both met at the airport and were picked up by one of my cousins. It was just a wonderful, wonderful time on so many different levels, because I am the oldest cousin, so I have cousins who are still having children, and they're all like in, trying to create homes, raising their kids, working nose to the grindstone. I have such pride in my family. And it was just fun to be down there. Unbeknownst to me was that because I hadn't been down there in several years, and I was going to be down there, they threw a birthday party for me. And I thought, oh my gosh, I usually celebrate my birthday all month, and it's in October, but now I have extended it, extended it by a few months. But it also was one of my aunt's birthday in another week, and so they catered a big Korean dinner and had two little birthday cakes, one for me and one for my aunt. Oh, it was just so sweet and so thoughtful. And it gave me a chance to observe kind of my life in terms of when I was raising kids and buying my first house and figuring out how to get to work and how to get the laundry done and how to get the everything that you do as a young family. I was grateful for retirement. I was grateful for retirement, but I also had to appreciate how much more it's just harder now for kids, for families raising kids. It's just harder. I don't know if because I'm looking at it from the other side of the hill, but I think they have a harder time than I had. They have so many more things to worry about. And so I have to give them huge kudos, huge kudos. And I am proud of each and every one of them. It was the best experience and break in the summer for me. So and I took stitching down. I did take stitching down with me, and we stayed predominantly at my aunt's place. It was, it's a 55-year older kind of apartment building in a very nice section of the LA basin where you could go out and walk, and the weather was lovely and you could see blue sky. So in the mornings I would stitch on my designated. I just took the designated stitch with me because I knew I could not have a 5-day break from it and still meet my deadline. And I'll talk more about that if you're new to the channel. But I did take one cross stitch and one embroidery stitch, and that was perfect. I am this stage in my life where I'm starting to make more reasonable decisions. How in the heck did that happen? I'm used to like taking a suitcase full of just in case stitching, but this time I kind of was like in awe and proud of myself. And you know, we have to sometimes stop that self-deprecating voice in our head and really acknowledge when we have moments, and maybe it's just a moment, but when we have moments that, wow, I'm 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 pretty awesome. I'm pretty awesome. I made a good decision. Huh. Yeah. And I was wearing my shirt. This has nothing to do with ballet, but this is the way it goes. I was at Lowe's. G was getting wood. I naturally was at the plant side of the building. And when I walked in, the cashier in the plant section saw my shirt, which was Just Breathe. And she said, "Oh, great shirt. I need to be reminded of that." And I told her, I always stop and engage with people when they talk to me. And I said, well, when I'm starting to lose it, sometimes my husband will say, "What's your shirt say?" if I'm wearing that shirt. And then I'll be reminded, yeah, just breathe. Yeah. And it was so great because I had a plant. I can't remember the name of the plant, but I knew it was an awesome plant because there was one planted in my yard, but it had gotten this tall, skinny stalk so that the flower fell into the creek. And this older gentleman, and I say older because he looked older than me. It's nice to say that sometime. Oh, this older person stopped me and said, "Oh, those flowers are the best. I have them all over my garden, and the hummingbirds love them." And I was like telling him about the plant that had fallen down, and I thought I would buy some friends for it, and maybe it would stand up. And it reminded me that, especially since I'm entering that time in my life, it is nice to engage and acknowledge someone who's older than you. That we are not turning into an invisible generation. We have lots to share. And so I bought this little green stake, and when I got home, I put it in the ground and then got the plant that was falling over to stand up into it. And when G and I sat out in the backyard for happy hour, hummingbirds came to that plant. That man was right. This is a channel about cross-stitch, yes. And I will get to that. First, before I get going on the cross-stitch, I want to tell you that we did use the random number generator, and we do have winners for these awesome charts that were donated by Everyday Stitcher, Sharon Jones. I mean, and she has an Etsy shop, and I will put all the links in the drop-down box. So for anybody who's new, below the title of the video, there will be like a little bit of writing, and then it says more, and if you click that, the drop-down box opens up, and I try to put as many links as I can remember. But we did have, with the random number picker, we did have 4 winners, and G will put the flyer at the end so you know exactly who you are. And then if you will email me with the email in the drop-down box, your mailing address. I will never ask you for money. I will never ask you to send me postage. I will never ask for your PIN numbers. So don't give them to me. It's not me if someone's asking. But just so you know, Angela, Kathy, Linda, and Jean, check out the flyer at the end, and I'll be sending those to you. And then in today's video, we will have a couple of more surprises for you. And so keep hanging in there for this video. Okay, more about stitching. I was contacted by a gal who was in my sit and stitch at Quilter's Affair, and she is she worked in the OR as a circulator, and now she has opened an online quilt and cross stitch shop, and maybe, who knows what'll happen someday, but I'm going to put that link below because I went and checked it out, and I did make a few quilt purchases from there, so I'm excited about that, and you'll hear more about that on Quilt Roadies. But I will put the link down below for her shop, and it's the Quilt Barn, and it's in La Grande, Oregon. So you have to make sure there's a couple of Quilt Barn links at different places in the United States, but hers is in La Grande, Oregon, and I will put that link below. Congratulations on this new endeavor, Lorraine. Oh, maybe I should next go to my stitching. So I stitch whatever I want during the daytime. I have a designated stitch at night. And I was watching Linens and Scraps, which is one of my top enabling floss tubes. One of them, Kathy and Molly, one of them is a monogamous stitcher, basically, and the other one is not. And I find it fascinating. I just find it fascinating listening to them. But I have gone down several rabbit holes because of them. And I'm not quite sure why I'm talking about them now, but they sent me down some rabbit holes. So there you go. That was the floss tube of the week for me. See, I lost track of my... there was some reason why I was mentioning them. Oh, probably because this chart got shown and it was already finished. I believe it was Molly who finished this, and it is a free chart. Don't we love that word, free? A free chart on the Fat Quarter Shop. But they're already talking fall stitching. I still haven't gotten there yet. Maybe, and I don't know about, well, they live in really hot weather. Yeah, I can't think about fall now when it's so warm. But this chart here is by Robin Pickens, Happy Fall Acorn. Is that not the most adorable chart? And it's a free one on the Fat Quarter Shop. And then while I was there looking, I can show you this one because it was free, and it didn't have a colored cover. It was just Forever Friends. And this is by Annie B's Folk Art. And the Fat Quarter Shop today is sponsoring a $35 gift card giveaway to one of you. All you have to do is leave a comment and subscribe to this channel, subscribe to the newsletter at Fat Quarter Shop if you haven't already, and in the comment, just use Fat Quarter Shop. Yeah, and we'll use a random number generator for that giveaway. But yeah, down a rabbit hole I went. I also went down rabbit hole sponsored by Linens and Scraps, but that hasn't arrived yet, and I will share that in the next video. So I got those two charts, and then while I am on the Fat Quarter Shop, I am going to show you what haul I got. I saw this chart, and it's a PDF chart on Fat Quarter Shop, and I think it's like $6 or something, but I just loved it. I don't know if I'll finish it the same way, but yeah, just beautiful. And while I was on the Fat Quarter Shop, I was thinking about Acorns and Threads and the Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit. And this year, the two designers for the workshop is Tiny Modernist and Satsuma Street. And so I mean, really, is that not gorgeous on that blue fabric? I just love it. So I'm going to Acorns and Threads this week for First Thursday, so I'm going to have to pick out some fabric if I don't find any that I like. You know, this almost looks like it's finished into a round pillow. I'll have to open, but I didn't want to fool around with the floss. And one of the things that Fat Quarter Shop has on their site is the ability to click all, and you are choosing all the floss that goes with the chart. And the reason I didn't want to fool around with the floss is because this particular chart uses Cosmo. And although I do have some Cosmo thread, I don't think I had any of these colors. So I got the full bag of Cosmo thread that goes to this chart. And then I just decided to check out what Tiny Modernist had available. And look at this. The Bee Queen. I'm here to tell you. Wow. That is stunning. And they give several different... They stitched it on a 28 count linen, which is comparable, they said, to 14 count Aida. Huh, that's interesting. I am so not fabric knowledgeable. I just go to Acorns and Threads and I tell Janine, I need fabric. And she knows my tolerances, and then I decided to pick up an extra pack, although I did get a download from my Van Accessible Patreon, Linda, but I decided to pick up this library pack. Yes, so that was my Fat Quarter haul. That was my Fat Quarter haul. Okay, I just have to share my finish. I did have an FFO. I met the deadline for my designated stitch, and I had it framed, and I can't tell you how extremely pleased I am. So here it is. This is the primitive hair. I purchased the chart and the fabric from Acorns and Threads, and she carries all the primitive hair and all the primitive hair fabric. And what was surprising to me was how easy it was to stitch on that fabric. I thought it was going to be difficult fabric to stitch on because of all the printed wording in the background. It was 30 count. It was a piece of cake. So now I'm excited to start another primitive hair chart. But this one, wait till you see it. its glory. It is done. Oh, I'm really proud. I have to say I'm very proud. I'm very proud of myself. I'm taking that moment to say I'm very proud. Yeah. With a capital P. With a capital P. Yes. I also stitched, did a lot of stitching, and I took it on my trip to LA and did stitch on it each day. And I think I'm going to meet that deadline. But it's Janine McGowan's, she's like my top 10. Yeah. As a designer, she's like my top 10. But the Blue Flower, Forest Home. And this was the chart, the designer chart for 2022 Pacific Northwest Summit. And I encourage you to sign up for Acorns and Threads newsletter, because there seems to be a lot of workshops available on the East Coast or on the eastern side of the United States, and not as many on the western side of the United States. But Janine really does put on an exceptional workshop. Not only is it in a nice facility, the Embassy Suites. The food was fantastic, even though we don't go for the food, but the food was fantastic. And as someone who is vegan, I had, there were so many choices that I tell you, I didn't have a moment where I was still hungry. The event itself was absolutely awesome. And so by signing up for the newsletter of Acorns and Threads, you will get a heads up for all the different classes and events that she puts on during the year. And she does work very hard and tries to bring to us stitchers an event that we can walk away with our hearts full. Yeah. So with that said, this was last year's. There's we got two kits, and this was one of them. The other one, okay, this designated stitch is for a family member, and I have a deadline of September. But the other one is going to be a me. It's going to be a me. Yeah. And I can't wait to start that one. But the Blue Flower Forest Home. I tell you, I was quite happy the other day when I realized I was in the bottom right corner. I was like, oh my gosh, once I get that deer, I'm going to be done. And then I looked at the chart, and I wanted to throw a tantrum. And I had witnessed a tantrum of all tantrums while I was down in LA. My cousin's daughter, who's like maybe 16 months old, I mean, I'm just guessing, absolutely precious, has utilized the behavior of a tantrum to help further her cause. And when she was throwing one, I was like mesmerized, because I thought, okay, I need to take notes, because this is amazing and I might have to use that. Now, my sister was making the rest of the adults move away from her and letting her have that tantrum, and don't encourage her, and all that. So she was getting people in the room to move away and let her just throw the tantrum. There was no way. There was absolutely no way I was leaving that room. Which reminded me of another story. I one time had to go to traffic court with my older son, and the courtroom was filled. And the judge said, anybody who is not actually here for a traffic violation, we want you to leave the room because there's not enough room. And so all these people were getting up to leave. And my son goes, well, aren't you going to go? And I said, heck no. I want to watch. I want to see what goes on. And so I just kind of quietly sat in the back and didn't draw attention to myself, and it was fascinating. So that's the same way I felt about this tantrum. People were moving and letting her throw it and stuff, but I was taking notes. Okay, so with an appropriate tantrum, you need to have this and this and this going on. Okay, I'm going to file that away because I might need those tools. You can learn from the younger generation. I'm here to tell you. So when I saw this chart and thought, oh my gosh, I'm right down at the deer, I'm going to be done, I realized that every tree limb has an animal sitting on it. Tantrum time. Tantrum time. I just kind of, what the heck? So, yeah. You need to not be judgmental, and you need to just observe what goes on around you, because you might learn something you didn't know about. Let's see, the other thing I worked on was at the Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit, which is in September. You can participate if you want in a smalls exchange. And so I am creating something for a small. I'm not going to tell you what I'm creating, but I will show you what I'm stitching. And this is kitted up at Acorns and Threads. And Jolynn, who does a lot of the finishing, had stitched this and made it into a small quilt wall hanging. And it was adorable. I won't be doing the quilt wall hanging. I'm going to be doing something else. But I figured I had better get going on it. And so here I am. The way this chart, and this is just what I had to do, the way this chart is done, see, it's just on a cardstock, is that only 1/4 of the chart is printed, and then you're supposed to rotate the card as you stitch. Not going to work for this brain. So I printed out that 1/4 4 times, and I taped them together to make me a chart. And that is working perfectly. Okay, we're almost at the end, except for my prairie schooler Santa. We are now down to the lights on this guy, and I already have the next one picked out. The decision I have to make on this is I want to use real beads, and the chart, they stitched 4 X's for each light. So I can't decide if I'm going to stitch the lights and then put the small beads, because I don't think the small beads will show up. And Audrey, Stitchy Witch 42, brought some beads over because she does a lot of Mill Hill. And this is a sticky box that I got at Acorns and Threads. Whether I'll do 4 stitches and then put a little bead, or whether I won't do the stitches and I'll use big beads. That's a decision I have to come up with. Not quite sure yet. But either way, almost at the end. Almost at the end. On last Saturday was the Crafty Sidewalk sale at Acorns and Threads. And that is where individuals like myself, although I didn't do it, could put to rent out a little spot on the sidewalk and de-stash whatever they wanted to de-stash. And it was pretty darn impressive. The variety, it, you know, I think it's like one of those must-see, must-go sales. I had no idea, because I hadn't been before, on what I was going to take home. I should have had a table, but I didn't. Instead, I made 3 trips to my car with someone else's stash. It was, yeah. What can I say? I have a weakness when it comes to crafts. And there was one gal there who had a table that you could tell. I said, "Do you do all this stuff?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, there isn't a craft I don't like." Because she had cross stitch for sale, she had needlepoint for sale, she had a stand for sale, she had stuff to do tatting. Yeah, my gosh, these were my people. They were my people. I could hear the songs of my people. I did go. My primary reason for going was to meet up with a friend who helped me get, I wanted a needle box by Clay by Kim, but I was down in LA, and so I was picking up my needle box. And if you don't know Clay by Kim, you need to join her Instagram. She's an artist, and she posts on like Tuesday what she's going to be offering for sale on Thursday. And it's needle minders, needle boxes, and I wanted a needle box, and so this is my mermaid needle box. Oh my gosh, is that not gorgeous? I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous. And it has a magnet inside to hold the needles. It's like, yes. Maybe this was the #1 reason I was at the sale, but there were other things that happened there. One is I got this awesome box. I loved the color of it. I don't know why, and I'll show you some charts that I picked up that it's a very soothing. This actually had a kit with it to make some embellishments that go on here, but I really liked the fabric and the look of the box, so I didn't buy the finishing kit, but yeah. And then this comes out. I just love it. I love it. So that was a good find. There were a lot of charts that there were a lot of charts. I'm trying to find, oh, there they are. Okay, so I picked up, and you can see there's a theme to the color of that box. I had never seen this before, and it's called Winter Samplers by the Prairie Schooler. I wonder what year this was published. Does it say on here? Oh, 2000. So 20. So I was barely back into cross stitch back in 2000. In fact, I might have been deep diving still into quilting. Now I've learned how to balance them. But there we go. I'm just loving, like, that one chart up here, I think it is, says, in the dark gray days of winter, frosty wind made moan. Earth stood hard as iron, water like a stone. I don't know. There's just something very appealing to that color. And all three of those charts are here. And look at that. Look at the sun. Let's see here. Sorry for making me dizzy. Yeah, so very happy about that. Again, similar color theme, although this is Stitches Through Time. Birds of Winter by Pamela Barnett. I heard a bird sing in the dark of December, a magical thing and sweet to remember. Isn't that, yeah, awesome. I hadn't seen this one before. With Thy Needle and Thread. Absolutely gorgeous. I tell you, it was an amazing sale. And then this was my, like, #1 find. This is a book, A Christmas Carol. I can't even believe she gave this up. A Christmas Carol. But it has cross-stitch in it. And the cross-stitch chart have to do with A Christmas Carol. And they're stitch patterns by Erica Michaels, Heartstring Samplery, Hello from Liz Matthew, Lotta, and Summer House Stitch Works. It's a lovely, lovely book. But I knew for sure I was going to do this. Bah, humbug. Humbug. And I just, yeah, I couldn't pass that up. I did buy 2 charts that I struggled. Do I have these already? Don't I have these? Do I have these? Don't I have these? Do I err on the side of caution? Or if I didn't buy them, would I have to expend my tantrum energy? And I think at my age, you only have so much energy for tantrums, so you got to save them for the right thing. So I went ahead and bought them. And then I came home and I found out I have them. I have them. In fact, I have all 3, and these, she didn't have the 3rd one. So I have 2 loose feathers, summer and winter. They are gorgeous. I always wondered why she didn't do a spring, but summer, winter, and autumn are the 3 charts. But I have duplicates now, so I am passing the stash. I hope that whoever joins to possibly get these charts, they are doing it because they want to own these, not to be able to resell them. And that that you really want these. I mean, they're beautiful, but I already have a set. So if you're interested in these 2 loose feather charts, Winter and Summer by Blackbird Design, use the word feathers. Use the word feathers. So we have 2 chances this video, feathers or the Fat Quarter Shop gift card. So I hope that you will subscribe, because I do check. And I don't know how many times people have won and I check and they're not a subscriber and I have to redo it. I know. I mean, it's supporting the community here, and I appreciate it so much. One last plug. There was a gal who had a table at the Crafty Sidewalk sale, and she does custom framing, and she does a lot of stitched framing, and this is in Hillsboro, Oregon. And so I'm going to put this up here so that you can stop the video and take a look at the information if you need help with framing your stitching. Okay, I think I got through it all. I have First Thursday, I have a Stitchy Zoom with Acorns and Threads tonight, and then First Thursday Stitch at the shop. I can't wait, and I will work away at those animals in the tree. I shall prevail. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I just love the cross-stitch community. It has been a saving grace for me. Thank you. Take care. Love you guys.